All right, today we're going to talk about making brand social media content, in particular short form video that doesn't suck and that will actually perform for your brand. We're going to talk about how you need to think about it. We're going to talk about funnels for content. I'm going to give a bunch of examples of specific video types that basically anyone can make. Some of them require some production. A lot of them are basic, very simple. And as a blueprint, you're gonna be able to go through in this video at any point in time and find social media ideas you're gonna be able to then go execute for your brand. And so why do I have any credibility to be able to talk to you about this? So first of all, I'm a pretty decent short form creator in my own right, about 500,000 followers on platforms. But I've also worked with a number of brands. I've worked with ones that have 1 million plus followers, lots that have hundreds of thousands of followers. I'll show some examples of specific content and things I've worked on inside this. So I'm gonna kick off with this video. And I'm gonna show a lot of videos you're gonna be able to watch while I do this. This is a great example of content that shows a product, but does it in an entertaining way. Every single clip you've seen so far has teased the product, and then it finally shows it and shows it in a beautiful way. And by the time it's actually shown it, it gets back to the beginning part where it teases again. This, to me, underlies the simplicity of what you need to do if you have a brand and you're trying to show it. And that is create things that people want to watch. So plenty of brands think that the algorithm has it out for them. What they do can't succeed. And it doesn't really come down to that. Unless we're in a prohibited category, I'm not even going to name the names of prohibited products because I'm not trying to get YouTube flagged. But for the most part, for brands to sell any normal thing and they don't have some crazy political stance or trying to sell something really controversial, you do not have a problem with the algorithm. Instead, you're simply making things that consumers don't want to watch. Let's put this in a broader perspective. You as a brand on a social media platform are competing with creators. These are people whose lives are designed to be able to entertain. They're making things that are humorous, funny, educational, entertaining. And these creators and the networks that they're on are competing with the larger world of entertainment. They're competing with Netflix, Disney Plus, Peacock, for consumers' time when they are on their phones or lounging. And in turn, those are competing with traditional television, sports, ESPN, network news. This is all war for attention. And so you as a brand need to be able to compete on the same scale as all of those people. And so if you're out there just being like, I'm gonna make content and just about my products or my product sale to be the focal point of every single one of my videos, you're gonna fail. Unless you do it in a really intuitive way where you have some principles along the way. But if your content can't compete in any other way, the algorithms don't owe you anything. They are not going to just propel it out there for no reason. So what can you do? Two types of content. All content on the internet boils down to one of these two types. You have A, value content. Value content is what I make. In all of my videos, even if I'm selling something, I explain to people something valuable to them that will help them as a person, the creative, or in their business. People tune into my content because you want to learn things and because I provide more value than your average person just telling stuff. I try to go a level deeper and give actual tactics that are useful and that people don't often talk about. That differentiates my content from another creator. Brands can offer value content as well. One of my favorite examples of this is food companies that do a lot of recipe content. Recipe content is the ultimate value content because everyone wants to cook good food. Everyone loves to look at aesthetic food. It's natural to our senses. And we bookmark stuff like that all the time. I don't particularly live in a food algorithm. If ever I see something where I'm like, oh, wow, that is a amazing, keto fried chicken, I'm bookmarking it. And brands who are contributing to that or making their ingredients a focal point of that have a really easy way to naturally create value content. Basically think, how can we, in our role as a brand, educate? And I'll dive into some steps to that later. Then we have option B, entertain. There are a lot of ways for content to entertain. There's obviously humor, you can have series, you can do cinematic things, but even if you are going back to that video that I've shown right before, if you can just take your brand and show it in an entertaining way, beautifully or aesthetically, that's the beauty of Instagram Reels right now. On TikTok, you can't just do things off aesthetic. Now you can entertain by being funny, you can entertain by telling a good story, by following trends. There's lots of ways to create entertainment content on TikTok that will help promote your brand. But on Reels in particular, you can just do it off the beauty and format of the content because that's a lot of the content that's rewarded there. And so if you show your product in a beautiful way, that is a form of entertainment. Those are the two buckets, value or entertainment. Someone is consuming it just for fun. And people consume a mix of both, and brands can create a mix of both. And there's a third type of content. The third type of content is content that fails. Content that is doing neither of these things. It's not particularly educating you or something you want to save or that you learn from, or content that's entertaining you and making people feel good about themselves or want to share it or laugh or have a moment or be like, wow, that was cool. And that is where the majority of brands I have conversations with who are like, my social isn't going anywhere. How do I improve my social? They live there. There's a certain tier of brands who make pretty good content and they're trying to improve and take it to the next level. You'll find some value in this too. Then you're getting down to the nuance of like, how do I make exceptional videos, video after video? So for brands, I'm making a toolkit. I'm gonna go back and forth between videos and talking about how content works. And inside this, there's all these different styles I'm gonna talk about. And the beautiful unveil is a style. And that's this first velour garments video that I showed off is a perfect example. This is another one where if you have an interesting looking product or you can take it out in an interesting way, all you simply have to do is unveil it and show off its details. By basically be like, I'm going to unpack this. Someone wants to see what the full extent of it is from what they're teased. Then they're going to see all the different bits in context and then repeat. Both of those videos are like, what, 8 seconds? Like this does not have to be like overthought. And I think for anyone that has an interesting visual product, this beautiful unveiling is a great concept. This last one I believe was likely shot on iPhone. The one before that was shot on a DSLR. But whatever your product is, if it has a good looking bag, if it has a good looking box, even if it doesn't, it's just okay, go and carefully capture that in a similar format. And this is one of the things I love to talk about for people that are like, well, how do I make content like this? Literally map this out shot for shot. Just write it down. I'll do it with you, like on this exact format that we have right here. First shot, someone's picking up a bag in a pile. Second shot, they're unzipping the bag, macro shot. Third shot, pulling the product out of the bag, still macro. Fourth, showing a detail, but not the whole product. Fifth, showing another detail. Sixth, they're actually smoothing out the full image of the product and letting that one sit. That's an outline of a video. You literally go step by step like that and then write down the lengths of the shots. And this is key because if you're first doing this, you don't really know how social media content works. You're going to make those shots too long. And so you literally can be like 0.5 seconds, 0.8 seconds, 1 second. And you'll notice that besides that last shot and the first shot, there's not much there. It's going to be more than a second at best. And now you have a format for creating this style of video. And you go, okay, I'm going to take my same product. I'm going to set up my cameras, maybe a slightly different angle, maybe a little bit different look because you have something different. And you're going to execute that same style. And what's nice about having a lot of products, having a brand, is that you probably have a lot of different things that you can unveil, that you can show, that you can try these formats on. And if you haven't made multiple videos for all of them, then you probably really haven't tried to succeed on social media, right? And you have an infinite canon you can do by just doing this style of videos. Know what this style of videos is also amazing for? Is to go on your website, on your product detail pages, to show people the close-up of the product. And you'll see this now on my Shopify site. So I just put these cashmere hats for sale. And I have the standard kind of a lifestyle product photo of this up first. But second, I have literally a video like I would put on a reel. And this is just a quick one on an iPhone, but I'm showing people in a short form format how they want to see it. If I was going to do this in a reel style, I would literally just chop this into like half-second blocks so it cut quicker between things. But like you can just put this right in your PDP, in your carousel of images, and give people an experience where they get to actually see it. Which just means that the time and effort you put into this is worth than putting it on your product detail page, putting that content into your emails, etc. Get the most value out of the content you create. All right, so I'm gonna bring up a second type of content. This is a key walkthrough video. So this is a video where you are going to go through your product and discuss why something about it is special. So literally you'll see is a lot of these shots, they're all about 2 seconds long, where he's walking through the details of this particular fit. And it's not about the outfit, it's about the product itself. It's not a complicated video, it's all on iPhone, just captioned above. And this is like a standard CapCut caption style. And he's literally just walking through what makes it special and stands out. And if you have a product that does have things special, then talk about that. And obviously, he has a beautiful viral looking product. Now, if you are making products that you don't look like that, and you have the ability to, something to start thinking about. How do I make things that stand out in social media? But that's probably a whole separate video. I actually think that's going to be the next video I do is like building luxury products, where we'll talk a bit about this. But even if you have a basic product, you can still have that conversation. And I show a lot of clothing just because I get a lot of clothing content served in my feed. This is applicable to anything. So this is olive oil. And they're literally talking about why do we choose to use a can for our refills? And they're having a little bit of fun with it. Obviously, like old boy is in his science costume in front of his whiteboard. And they're having some fun with the captions. And like, that's a good thing to do. Have a little personality with your brand if it fits your brand, or be a little more serious and buttoned up. If you had a more serious brand and someone's there like in a suit in a nice setting, that could equally resonate in the same way. But he's literally explaining a key thing around their brand into this content. And this format of like a key explainer, and you can be shot on an iPhone, candidly, you can be shot nice in a different way, is a great thing to do where you think of what is a story I can tell in like 20 or 30 seconds about a key thing of my product, where you're providing a combination of value and kind of your product sales. And are these always going to skyrocket? No. But are they a useful content format to have? Yes. Now we have doing this content in action. So this is actually a project I worked on where we're doing all these tutorials about gel blasters and basically how to use them. And it was like, okay, well, do we want to do just a standard content about like how you use something like this? Or is it better if you're actually in a gel blaster battle at the same time that someone's getting a tip? It is obviously significantly more exciting if you're giving the tip while you're inside the battle. And if the audio is on, it's not here, you're gonna be telling her, she's literally telling you like how to hydrate and refill your gel. So you use like inside this, like while you're doing the video in action. And this has 60,000 views, whereas a video of us just explaining this is how it works would have like 3,000 views. This is another one I worked on when I was doing social at lift foils. And this is actually one, like I will give the videographer full credit like on this. I would have the concept that we need to be doing more of these educational videos about how to do things like wake foiling, because people just don't know and understand. And then they actually like mic'd up Brian here and like executed this like while he's actually on the board, which just adds this like captivation element to the content that's huge, right? Because you're basically seeing two things at once. He's explaining what he's doing while he's doing it. You're like immediately asking questions like, oh, he's like mic'd up on that. Is he going to fall in the water? And you get to see it in action happening. And this was like a 1.8 million view video. And then immediately there are more of these, and they also hit like equally as well. And so obviously these are like more like outdoors and products that have a natural exciting element to them, but you could easily have just made this same content and had it not be this exciting and had it not go anywhere. And so if you have that ability to have excitement, and especially if you are athletic wear, workout gear, or supplements, or whatever it is, like give people some action inside of it. And then even if you're not, like what else could you be doing from a lifestyle perspective to explain those tips? Like, you know, and this goes two ways too. Like you can explain how your product's used inside that context, but it can also be like explaining other things or giving tips in other environments. And something I like to think about for this is like, if I had an auto-themed clothing brand, and like if I'm giving tips about like how I can fix a carburetor while I'm in the gear or whatever, like there's another degree of connection that can happen there. But this content is really exciting to me. The idea of like give a tip about your product or teach people how to use it, but add that second element of doing it like in some kind of non-standard circumstance. Now, ideally, like while it's in action, but like even if someone's walking or running or in, I think a great thing that my friend Alex Garcia did at the Collective is they were doing these and they had them inside the cold plunge, like while they were doing it, just add that second dimension to it. It's a kind of thing that is pretty easy to execute from a production standpoint, but it is significantly more exciting when it's actually seen in the algorithm and becomes significantly more shareable. And now that we've shown some content, this is a good opportunity to step back and talk about content funnels. I think I had a video where I was interviewed about this on a podcast go viral on Instagram. And it's one of those videos where like I didn't accept the collaboration request. And I was like, it's not really kind of a fit. And of course it goes viral. So content funnels, and you're familiar with the concept of funnel goes down. I figure like a lot of people know sales funnels and marketing funnels. You're trying to get a customer from the top of the funnel down to the bottom of the funnel where they're close. So the top of funnel for content is something I love to talk about because a lot of brands don't understand and can't separate. I need to sell this product. I need to be selling my service, or I need to sell what I do as a creator every video. And the way the algorithms work, especially Instagram, TikTok's a little different, YouTube's a little different, but like if someone likes your content on Instagram or they follow you on Instagram, you're immediately shown like 4 or 5 of that person's videos the next few times that you log in and scroll. They will automatically give you more content. It's great for the creator. It's also great for the brand. But what this is gives you a crucial step you need to think about in the funnel, which is like, how do I make content that gets millions of views? Whether or not it achieves my objectives or gets me followers or gets me sales, if I can get content that my target demographic or people that will buy my product see, then I'm immediately going to get my other popular videos fed to them. And they're going to see probably the next thing that I post. And if I think of this like a funnel, I go, great, what is the things that I can attract the most attention with? And then when we talk about middle of funnel, it goes, okay, then how can I educate them about actually making a purchase? And if you think about content like this, it becomes really important. So top of funnel, videos that just get attention. Don't add sales. May not even need to have your product. I'll show you examples that do. Middle of funnel. These are just videos, your standard videos that either drive value like we talked about or entertain, but like are more based around your brand, your product, and your story and the things that you're trying to promote, but they're done in ways that are natural to succeed on social media. But they have that element to them where people are going to look at that and they might go, hey, I want to buy that or I want to support that person or whatever it is. And then the bottom of funnel. The bottom of funnel is that stuff you have to make where you're like, okay, the drop is today. We need to make a video about it. Like, all right, hey, we gotta go make some fucking sales. Drop the video about it. And that's something where like, that's the least of the ratio of content of what you should be making, but you still need to consider it inside what you're creating. And so if you balance this out and you go, I want to have 1 or 2 every week, top of funnel videos, and maybe they don't always hit, but I'm trying. And I want to have 2 or 3, this middle of funnel is my core content. Sometimes they get big, sometimes they do all right. We're knocking them out there. And I want 1 where I'm going for it. I got to go get the job done. That's a great mix of content for a creator or for a brand. And your strategy will be more sophisticated than 99% of brands that are out there. So what are examples of top of funnel content? This first one's a bit of a mix. It's giving the educational elements of value content, but it's meant to go viral. And this is the idea that you can take a tip or take something like a creation and then just make it like excessive. So this is recipe content. He's making an old fashioned. He's just making a massive old fashioned. So basically you take a core video or like a tip video and you add a viral element to it, which is literally just like size is a great one. Can you do an extra large version? This works all the time on social media. So if you do have content where it's like, I'm going to show you how to make a protein shake, or because I have a supplement that goes inside of it, or I'm going to show you how to do X or Y, like doing the crazy version of that, like adding scale. And this is something I talk about in, if you haven't gotten my like creative ops, like free report thing I did, I have a whole like creative direction section. This is one of the strategies. It's like, how do you make it extreme, or how do you pull something back to like just its essence, to take an idea or a reference and make it more interesting? And this is just a perfect example where if you have some successful content as, for a brand already, make it supersized. And then there's using viral elements. And like these little mini waffle makers like always have a bunch of viral elements. I have a lot of food content showcased on here. Another great example of stuff that was like a natural viral element was when all the creators were using those little treadmills and like walking on the treadmills or talking or running on the treadmills. Like you can kind of see what's happening in the world around you and create something to that. But not all going to be food here. This is one of my favorites and one of my favorite strategies. This is these tiny aesthetic reels. This is like a 6 or 8 second reel from 2Js who are smashing on social media. And literally it's one visual concept. Our jewelry on a turntable. They have like 8 or 10 shots. They let it kind of go in an interesting way. And it's something where you're going to watch, you're going to stop scrolling on Reels, you're going to watch it for a couple seconds and be like, oh, what's happening here? Oh, can I see that piece again? And then the video's already played like 3 times. It's a genius top of funnel content strategy. And it's based on just a visual mechanism. Their product on a turntable. And you can think about what could I put my product on or what could it do that would be interesting? Another great example of the same thing, they just literally flipped a video of their ceramics on strings. So it looks the opposite way, which is just super scroll stopping and just an excellent top of funnel piece. And so especially if you have a creative team or you're creative, like really be diving into like, what are those really unique things that we can try that will just stop people on the page? And those few that, that I've just shown are like great styles and looks that you can kind of build your own references. And then if you have like, if you're from a bigger brand or you have a real creative team or you have a particular skill set on that, like go artful, right? So this is big budget. This is on and post-archive fashion from Korea, but like this looks like unlike anything that is on Reels today. And if you have the ability to do that and to get people to go, holy shit, I need to stop and watch this, then that is like the best of all worlds, especially for us as creatives, creative directors, art directors. Like this is the goal, right? You may not always have the production budgets or anything like that, but like if you do have the resources in the team, like this is what to try to make. And I like to look at this from like Martine Rose has this as a trope where they have this kind of like rotating thing that's on there. And this content's a little niche, but again, it kind of has that same like, okay, if we took an artful approach to top of funnel content. So now let's hit some middle of funnel tactical content. I love this concept of the showcase. So the showcase is when you put a setting together and then you rapid fire show off whether it's your work as a creative or an agency or your rebrand or your line. And so in this video, they set up the stage they go like, hey, we have this brand. We have a mood board for what we're going to create. And then here's what we built out of it. So it sets that up in the first few seconds and then it just gives you still images in a row. And again, that video is like what, 6 to 8 seconds long? Like what stories do you have from your brand assets to be able to put things like this together? Extremely similar format for behind the scenes, like you're doing a Photoshop, etc., where like they just shot, again, that's 3 lead up shots and then just the photos. And then this is already going to be done. And these are the little vignettes that can come day to day that are really easy to show and great content that has the potential to go viral and no matter what is brand focused and educational. A great version for a clothing brand. Literally the first shot is he just pulls this rack out, makes you wait, and then just shows the different pieces in the collection, snapping back and forth. And then it repeats. Like, this is not complicated, but a lot of just social media teams just kind of overthink what they have to do. When like you have formats like this, like for any collection you have, any setup of different things, any photo shoot that you do, any new rebrand assets or campaign assets, this type of video should be on the list every single time you do one of them. Now, if you have a great storytelling team, you have good copywriting, you have people who have the ability to write good content, these are great formats as well. You literally write out a story and you're just using lots and lots of shots to kind of quickly tell that story. 2 words on screen max, like using your B-roll to move along with. This takes more editing work. These move super fast. But again, if you copywriting is part of the strength of the org that you have, write these and take examples like this and like literally it'd be like, all right, how would I, in the same word count, same time count, tell a story about my brand, whether it's our origin story, why I made this product, why we're based in wherever we're based, why we hired this person who's on our team, what our vision for the future is like, where our warehouse team uses to do their work, whatever. Another person who's done a great job with this is Spencer. He was in like the first Cut 30 cohort like we ever did and just is an amazing storyteller. He was only on Twitter, I think, before that, but just understood how to write. Again, knows how to put these shots together, like has mapped all this out into a storyline. And there's a lot of people that have that skill set, and especially if you have a videography background, but this is all iPhone. It's just lots of zooms and lots of text on the screen to read and like dominates on TikTok and he runs it as an ad as well. And it's just really sick. And if you haven't seen his product, Tails, it's like this, it's like a game that you can play with older members of your family to learn more about their history, which is super sick. He's crushing it and like a really fun time. So I recommend it to check out. And so there's like hundreds of more content examples I could go through of things to do, but this is a pretty good setup to get you started in thinking about content that you can do for your brand that is, and almost all the things I apply to creative work as well. If you're showing off your portfolio, it's a lot of the same principles, like those showcase videos I just saw, or like even an unveiling, like if you actually made something or a prototype, like taking it out or covering the screen or showing the mood board first and then transitioning it into like the little pieces of your piece, like into the whole thing. there's a lot of those same principles that can really apply. Overall, no matter who you are, think about that chain. Am I making value, or am I making entertainment, or am I failing? And then am I making content for the top of funnel? Am I making it for the medium, middle, or am I making it for the bottom? And I'm about to start making content for my brand. I've made a few videos, like test videos already, just seeing what they can do on the algorithm. And I'm about to start doing a lot more, and I'll share a bit about how those are working as well. And so so you see here, I've got 1,000 followers. Here's some of the things that they have kind of worked here. It's like I've done these little compilation videos, kind of like a little more motivational, but again, just super quick shots, something that people can like and share. Same thing with this kind of idea of that opening hook shot, and I'm just showing a bunch of my products, like shot after shot with some lifestyle kind of cut in between. These are just simple, like set the stage videos that I'm using to explore the algorithm a bit before I dive in deeper. But I'm gonna start sharing the things that are working, the things that are not, and the ideas that I have in some of these future videos. But anyway, if you want to dive deeper into content with me, we do our Cut 30 thing once every month. It's like a 30-day boot camp. I'm trying not to sell a bunch of stuff inside these YouTubes, but we do that every 30 days. People do ask about it a bunch. And I think our next one is Tuesday, May 21st coming up. So if you're interested in that, it's cut30.co. And then I did put out this creative ops guide for free that you can find on the Hyper site. I'll link it down in here too. You have to go on Air's landing page and you sign up, and then they'll email it to you. But this has like a bunch of creative direction strategies for how to look at content, how to think about content as a team, and how to like analyze trends to make good content. So if you're part of a bigger team at like an org, and you're like building brand content, there's a ton of strategies I have inside that. And anyway, that is content. Drop more questions at the bottom. I know I didn't cover a lot of like starting from scratch. I'm hoping to do that pretty well on like what I do documenting my brand journey. And there's a lot for more like existing brands and social teams. So we'll conquer that in the new video. But appreciate you watching, and let's go.